So when you think of Saudi Arabia, what comes to mind? Probably vast oil wealth, right? Glittering, futuristic cities just sprouting up out of the desert. But behind all that shine, there's this one fundamental problem, a massive lack of water. It's kind of like having a palace made of solid gold, but you've only got a few sips of water to drink.
Okay, so let's get right into it, because that is exactly what Saudi Arabia is doing. They are building a massive network of artificial rivers underground, basically challenging nature itself. But this brings up the single biggest question of all. In a country that's almost all sand, where is all this water even coming from?
To really understand just how monumental this project is, we have to rewind the clock a bit and look at a catastrophe that was brewing for decades. You see, for a long time, the kingdom's survival really depended on this hidden treasure, a secret reservoir of water buried deep beneath the desert.
And that treasure has a name: fossil water. This is ancient water that's been trapped underground for thousands, sometimes millions of years. The best way to think about it is like a non-rechargeable battery. Once you use it up, it is gone, for good. And for decades, this was Saudi Arabia's lifeline.
So how did they manage to drain this ancient battery? Well, it all started back in the 1970s with this really bold idea to grow wheat in the desert to make the country self-sufficient. And with huge government subsidies, farming absolutely exploded. But this green revolution had a staggering, invisible cost. By 2003, farming was gulping down a shocking 85% of the country's water. And then we got a warning from space. No kidding. NASA's gray satellites, which can actually measure gravity changes from orbit, showed that those underground aquifers were disappearing at a truly catastrophic rate.
Let this number really sink in for a second. 2 trillion liters. That's 2 with 12 zeros after it. That's how much of this non-renewable water was being pumped out of the ground every single year. The country quickly realized its only natural water source was about to run dry, forcing them to completely abandon the wheat project and basically lock away what little fossil water was left for emergencies only.
So with their only natural source now off limits, they had to invent a new one. And this desperation led to one of the most ambitious, most mind-boggling engineering projects on the entire planet.
So what's the solution? Get this, a 12,000-kilometer network of man-made rivers built completely underground. The sheer scale of it is almost impossible to wrap your head around. And we're not talking about small pipes here. These are massive channels, some of them 11 meters wide and 4 meters deep. To give you some perspective, the total length of this network is going to be nearly double the length of the Nile River, the longest river in the world. They are literally building an underground water system that could stretch across a huge portion of the Earth. And what's the goal of all this? To produce and transport 9.4 times billion liters of fresh water every single day. This isn't just about giving people something to drink, it's about making the desert bloom again, about reviving that agricultural dream, and of course, about building an economy that isn't just about oil.
Which brings us back to our central mystery. If the water isn't coming from the ground, where is it from? Well, the answer lies in the 2 giant bodies of water on either side of the country, the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf.
The first piece of tech is kind of a brute force method. It's called multi-stage flash distillation. Just picture these enormous steel tanks. You heat up seawater, then you push it into chambers with lower and lower pressure, which makes it boil over and over again. All that steam, that's pure H2O. You just collect it, condense it, and boom, you have fresh water, and the salt gets left behind. But the real game changer is a technology called reverse osmosis. This is way more efficient. Instead of boiling, you use incredibly high pressure to literally force salt water through this special membrane. The pores in this thing are so tiny they can block salt, minerals, even viruses, and let only the pure water molecules squeeze on through.
And the impact of all this tech is already massive. I mean, look at this. Today, 2/3 of Saudi Arabia's entire water supply comes from desalination. They've become the world's largest producer of desalinated water, by far. They've turned an existential crisis into a technological triumph.
But, and you probably knew there was a but coming, this triumph comes with a very heavy and very salty hidden cost. You see, when you create this much fresh water, you also create an almost unimaginable amount of toxic waste.
Every single day, these desalination plants produce 329,000 tons of this super salty, chemical-filled sludge called brine. And all that waste has to go somewhere. Right now, somewhere means right back into the sea. To really help you picture that, imagine the weight of more than 1,600 blue whales. That's how much salt they are dumping back into the ocean
every single day. So this incredible solution has created its own massive environmental problem.
So what does all this brine do? Well, it raises the sea's temperature and salinity, creating these underwater dead zones where fragile coral reefs and marine life just can't survive. To fix this, engineers are working on two big ideas. The first is using deep-sea diffusers to spread the brine out over a wider area to dilute it. The second idea is even cooler: brine mining. It's a process that could actually pull valuable minerals like magnesium and potassium out of the waste, potentially turning a pollutant into a profitable resource.
So even with all these challenges, this whole project is really a bold statement. It's a declaration that humanity, if we have enough ingenuity and enough resources, can actually engineer our way out of scarcity.
But that ingenuity takes an unbelievable amount of energy. You have to remember, this project is literally fighting against gravity. In a natural river, water just flows downhill. Here, giant pumping stations have to work 24/7 just to shove billions of liters of water uphill over mountains thousands of feet high. And get this, those pumps alone use up a staggering 9% of the entire country's electricity. And here's the ultimate symbol of their ambition. The country with no rivers, the one that almost ran completely out of water, is now positioning itself to be a global leader in water security. It's so ambitious that in 2027, they're going to host the World Water Forum, basically showing off their solutions to the entire planet.
So this leaves us with one final and really important question. Saudi Arabia's artificial river is a monument to human will, for sure. It proves that technology can solve some of our most basic problems. But when you look at the immense energy costs, the environmental side effects, you just have to ask, what is the true price of survival? And is it one we're all willing to pay?